Best practices for cold calling in B2B sales. Cold calling in 2025. Harder to win, easier to measure. Cold calling in B2B sales isn't dead, it's just unforgiving. In 2025, the average dial to meeting or meaningful outcome rate is about 2.3%, which means most teams are fighting for 2 to 3 solid outcomes per 100 dials unless they modernize their approach. The reason it feels tougher is simple. Connect rates are down, call blocking is up, and prospects are overloaded across phone, email, and LinkedIn. A work harder and dial more mindset breaks fast when you're only connecting with 3 to 10% of attempts, and when it can take 18 plus dials just to reach one person live. The teams that still win treat calling like a conversion system, not a heroic act. Instead of debating whether cold calling works, they build a repeatable process across targeting, timing, talk tracks, and coaching. And they benchmark every stage so improvements show up in meetings and pipeline, not just activity. Benchmarks that matter. Manage the funnel, not the mood. If your dashboard only shows dials and meetings, you're flying blind. Modern cold calling services, whether in-house or through a cold calling agency, manage the full funnel. Dials, connects, conversations, meetings held, opportunities created, because each stage has different fixes. Use external benchmarks to set realistic expectations, then coach to the constraint. For example, average performance hovers around 2 to 3% from dial to meeting, while top-performing teams consistently hit 5 to 8%, which is the difference between about 40 dials per meeting and about 15 to 20 dials per meeting. A practical way to align leadership, SDR managers, and reps is to put the targets in one place and review weekly. Here's a simple benchmark snapshot you can use to calibrate your program before you set quotas or consider sales outsourcing. And just to be clear, we're skipping the table in this audio version. Targeting is the biggest lever. Fix the list before the script. The most common failure mode we see in B2B cold calling is calling a list that vaguely resembles our ICP. It feels productive, but spray and pray dialing burns good accounts, inflates dials per meeting, and turns your SDR agency function, whether internal or outsourced, into a morale problem instead of a pipeline engine. Start by documenting a sharp outbound ICP and segmentation model that sales, marketing, and leadership all agree on. When your tiers are clear, the right amount of personalization becomes obvious. High-value accounts get context and research, while repeatable segments rely on a consistent framework and clean data. Then, obsess over data hygiene. Verified direct dials, current titles, correct locations, and duplicates removed before reps ever touch a phone. This is where list-building services and intent signals pay off immediately, because better inputs raise connect rates and make every downstream tactic, openers, objections, and cadences, work harder. Timing and multi-channel cadences, where most teams leave money on the table. Even with a good ICP, random dialing produces random outcomes. Benchmarks show that calling in proven windows, roughly 8 to 9 a.m. and 4 to 5 p.m. in the prospect's local time, can drive up to 47% higher connect rates versus dialing whenever the rep has a free moment. Cold calling works best when it's part of a structured, multi-touch cadence that includes email and LinkedIn outreach services. Teams that combine channels can outperform single-channel outreach by more than 287%, which is why the best outbound sales agency playbooks don't treat the phone as a standalone tactic. Persistence matters, but only when it's disciplined. Instead of one-and-done attempts, build a 2 to 3 week sequence with multiple call attempts anchored to the best time blocks. Then, reinforce those calls with short, relevant emails so prospects recognize your name when you get them live. Cold calling isn't a moment of bravery. It's a measurable conversion system that gets better every week you coach it. What to say when they answer: permission, context, and a clear next step. In 2025, buyers still take meetings from proactive outreach when it's relevant. 82% say they at least occasionally accept meetings from sellers who reach out. That's the opening. Your job is to sound like a professional peer, not a telemarketing script reading to a stranger. The highest performing cold callers open with context and permission, not an apology. Own that it's a cold call. Reference a relevant reason you chose them: role, industry, trigger, or a "we work with teams like yours" proof point, and ask for a small, specific slice of time. Then earn the right to continue. Most importantly, sell the meeting, not the whole product. A strong call stays tight. One clear problem you solve, one proof point, 2 targeted discovery questions, and a simple CTA for a 20 to 30-minute next step. That discipline is a major reason top teams reach 5 to 8% call-to-meeting conversion, while average teams stall around 2.3%. Common mistakes that tank conversion, and what to do instead. Mistake 1 is using the same script for every persona and industry. Generic, product-heavy pitches make you sound like telesales, especially when the economic buyer and the day-to-day user care about different outcomes. The fix is a modular script where 60 to 70% stays consistent, while pain language, proof points, and examples change by segment. Mistake 2 is overloading the call with a monologue. When reps try to do discovery, demo, and close in one conversation, prospects push back fast and meeting-held rates drop. Instead, use brief positioning and move quickly into 2 or 3 questions that reveal current tools, process gaps, or near-term initiatives. Mistake 3 is treating objections like roadblocks rather than data. If you consistently hear, "Send me an email," "not interested," or "we already have a vendor," don't just tighten rebuttals, tighten targeting. Add better context up front, and track objection frequency by segment so your team improves the system instead of blaming the rep. Coaching, tech, and CRM discipline: how top teams compound gains. Dashboards tell you what happened. Recordings tell you why it happened. The fastest way to lift performance is to review a few calls per rep each week and coach one skill at a time: openers, pacing, discovery, or the meeting ask, so reps build repeatable habits instead of trying harder. Technology should reduce friction, not add complexity. A solid CRM plus a sales engagement platform helps enforce cadence consistency, prevent lead collisions, and maintain list hygiene. And proper CRM usage alone is associated with about a 37% increase in cold calling success, thanks to better follow-up and visibility. This is also where AI can make personalization scalable. When your calls are paired with relevant, personalized emails built from a consistent framework rather than handcrafted from scratch, prospects see the same story across channels, which raises recognition and makes connects more likely to turn into real conversations. Build, outsource, or go hybrid, choosing the right operating model. If you have strong enablement, clean data, and coaching capacity, building in-house can work well, especially for a narrow segment. But if your team is bandwidth constrained, ramping slowly, or missing process rigor, sales outsourcing can be the fastest way to reach benchmarks without burning out your internal reps. At SalesHive, we run outbound as a system: targeted list building, multi-channel sequencing, disciplined calling windows, and coaching tied to conversion metrics. That combination is why many teams choose an outsourced sales team model when they need predictable meetings now, not after months of experimentation. Your next step is straightforward. Document your ICP, rebuild your dashboard around conversion stages, standardize a permission-based opener, and run a 2 to 3 week cadence that blends calls with email and LinkedIn. Whether you implement that internally or partner with a B2B sales agency or sales development agency, the goal is the same. Move from random outcomes to a measurable pipeline engine.